What is going on, guys? DBG here, and in this video we are going to be talking again about NBA 2K21 MyTEAM. And again, we are looking right back at the blog post from 2K. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about something that's gone really kind of under the radar, especially because it was one of the very first things that was announced in MyTEAM. This was announced back when Agent did his interview about the gameplay, and like this was the 1st of August, the 31st of July we found out about this. So this is something we've had time to speculate, and most of the people's speculation was pretty much correct with what this was. So what I'm going to be talking about in this video is the EVO cards and how I think the new way to evolve cards is going to affect the game. So before we get on to the review, guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are trying to 215,000 subscribers before the launch of NBA 2K21. Right now we are literally 50 subscribers off, so it would be absolutely insane if we could manage to hit that mark. I get it, we realistically will get it, but you just never know. We upload more NBA 2K MyTEAM content than anywhere else, whether it's speculation for the game, giving you guys tips going into the game, and as soon as the game comes out, you better believe we're going to have more MyTEAM content than anyone else. So anyway, now we're going to get on to talking about the EVOs. So basically, what has changed between evolving cards this year and last year? The big thing that has changed, especially early on in the year, we know it's going to be like this, is that you're going to have different things you can evolve. So for example, as you can see here, you can make Shaq more athletic by getting 150 points and 25 rebounds, or you can make him more defensive by giving him 150 points and 25 blocks. So even from like reading the blog, there's going to be so many different ways to work around evoing. So what does this exactly mean is that there's a choice at each evo upgrade. So for example, if you want a player, there might be, I don't know, let me just think of a hypothetical card that might have an evo. Maybe they might end up bringing out a Spotlight Series Kyrie Irving, and his final evo either gives him, say, a 92 three-pointer and a 30 dunk, or you can go an opposite route and make a Kyrie Irving with like a 75 three-pointer but an 80 dunk. Something like that, because I think Kyrie is the first Spotlight, and I'm guessing they're going to have the same thing as last year when it comes to the EVOs for Spotlight, because that was a really good idea. So I think I can imagine something like that happening. So for example, 2 fully evolved Kyrie Irving cards could be completely different. Or you might have an option to make him a shooter or a defender somewhere along the line. You might have a 3-ball, and you can either bump the 3-ball, or you can go and give them clamps and boost up their defense. So it makes it a lot more interesting, because you can't add badges onto EVO players. So your choices make a lot of difference in what type of a card that you end up getting with your EVOs. I personally think that this is the potential to kind of nerf EVOs to an extent, because you can't put badges in the cards, especially if it turns out that pretty much every card can get every badge, which is everyone's fear. Especially late on in the year, I think it's going to, like, the EVO cards might be nerfed a little bit, but I think at the start of the year they're going to be a huge factor again, just like last year. So the effect that it has, if you want to, there's like 2 ways that people evo cards. There's evoing for profit. So by evoing for profit, you could tactically do certain evos. For example, if one of them gives someone Hall of Fame range, you might constantly be trying to evo up that side of the player, rather than, for example, I don't know, Hall of Fame clamps and no range extender, for me anyway, is more important than Hall of Fame range extender and no clamps. However, for the vast majority of casual players, especially early on in the year, they'll probably take a range extender player over a clamps player. So you might be tactically evoing them certain ways, whereas they mightn't be as good in the game. They might just be worth more, these specific evos. Especially, there might be rare evos that certain people want. Like for example, again, just say if there's a Giannis card, and the Giannis evo doesn't come with clamps. You can evo him up to give him, say, gold range, or you can evo him up to give him Hall of Fame clamps. However, most people would say, oh, I want range extender and Giannis. But in reality, the clamps one might be better. So it might end up actually being rarer, and more people are looking for it that way. So I think that could be a certain thing. As well as that, the quicker evos might be better for evoing for profit, because people are just going to look at the tiers. So for example, in the Shaq one, it's you can get 25 rebounds in a game, you can't get 25 blocks in a game. Like, by the time you've gotten 25 blocks with that Shaq, you could realistically evo. I know they're starter cards, but say if there's a card that it is a choice, say 25, or say if it's 100 points, 25 rebounds, and 100 points, 25 blocks, you could probably do 2 of the 100 point, 25 rebound evos quicker than you could do 100 points, 25 blocks. You could probably do 100 points, 25 rebounds in one game with any given player on a rookie. However, if you're doing it with you're going for the blocks, that might take 4 to 5 rookie games. It might take an hour or 2 hours TTO. You might get 3 or 4 of the easier evos. And yeah, they might be a little bit cheaper because they are easier to do. But at the end of the day, we just don't know. Maybe people aren't even going to be looking enough in depth at what stats have gone up, and especially early on in the year when people don't really get the hang of the evos, they're just going to see what the highest overall player is and buy them. So I think that could make an effect for evoing for profit. And in terms of evoing for use, which is evoing for a card to be the best choice on your team, you obviously have to make that decision of what you think is best for your team. But one thing I've always kind of wondered is, like, what if you make the wrong choice? And the only thing you can really do if you make the wrong choice is go and sell the card and buy back another one. However, if it's a reward card or a non-auctionable card and you make the wrong choice, you are absolutely, like, you're screwed. Well, not like, obviously new cards come every week, you'll find someone to replace them, but you are kind of screwed. For example, if no Shaq card comes out till February, March, and you're a big Shaq fan and you wanted to use that very first card. So if you end up making him, say, an athletic rebounder, and he gets bump up in speed, he gets bump up in a couple of stuff, and then for example the defensive version has got clamps, and you ended up just kind of picking the athletic one because you're like, you know what, I'm going to evo of that, I'm going to make that choice because it's quicker, and then suddenly your Shaq starts getting blown by if they come up with a half quick first step center early on in the game. You are kind of screwed unless there is a way to undo evos, which I highly doubt. You could make, like, wrong choices could make quite a big effect. So now I'm going to talk about how I think it affects the game. So early on in the game, I think evos, just like last year, are going to play a huge part in the game. I think evoing for profit, that's how I made most of my MT early on in the year. Charlie Ward, I could evo up Charlie Ward in one. I'm pretty sure you could evo him with one game of TTO. I think it was like 10 points you need to score with him. I was buying a whole bunch of those Emerald Charlie Wards, getting them up to Sapphire, selling them off at Sapphire straight away. I was evoing cards so quickly. The lower tier ones, selling them for maybe, when it all was all said and done after tax, maybe like an 1,000 coin profit in like 10 minutes. So all of a sudden I was building up. It was a little bit at a time. I was building up a lot of MT. I know a lot of people that evo. Jay Canada, I'm pretty sure that's how he made a whole bunch of his MT when he was doing Spotlight Sims. He evoed up a whole bunch of players. So definitely evoing for profit is going to be huge early on in the year. Evoing for use as well, especially if reward cards come as a lot of evos, especially when a lot of people don't have when most people don't have a lot of MT, just like those cards at the very start of the year for the first week or so, those domination cards I thought were really good. And late in the game, I think once they start releasing the unrealistic cards, and it's gonna happen, no question it's happening. Even though some people don't want it, the fact, like, people speak with their wallets, and the fact that 2K can guarantee you're making more year after year in microtransactions, I can guarantee you that people actually do want the unrealistic cards. I really couldn't care less. Realistic, I couldn't care less. I'll play the game, but I'm telling you right now, there's a vocal minority of people that say they want, quote, realism, but yet will never play now, which is the most realistic mode in the game. So people don't want realism, and they will speak with their wallets. So I do think later on in the year we're gonna keep getting cards as unrealistic as this year. So at that stage in the game, I don't really think evos are going to make too much of a difference, but at the end of the day, they are still a decent novelty concept. So anyway, that is the video. Do I think it's going to be one of the more game-changing features? I don't. I personally think that MyTEAM Limited and MyTEAM and the Exchange are going to have a much bigger effect on the game mode in general than the new EVOS system. I could be wrong. I really could be wrong, but I think they're going to have a bigger effect. I think they're going to affect the market more. They're going to affect a lot more in terms of supply and demand, whereas the Exchange lowers the supply of cards. The MyTEAM Limited raises the demand of certain cards, so both of them are going to completely change the auction list. Whereas Evo cards, I think they are still going to play an effect. I'm not the biggest fan of like just getting 2 different paths you can go with an Evo card. I would have rather you'd be able to you'd be able to Evo a specific thing by doing a specific thing. But at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. I think it is still a decent concept, and I don't know. It's a little bit more choice. It's something new to do. I've yet to see whether it'll be a good or a bad thing. I don't necessarily think it'll be a bad thing. I think it's going to be one of those things where I don't see it being a major thing later on in the game, but I also don't see it being something people complain about. I think it's just going to be just a complete neutral in this game. But at the end of the day, I don't think I can necessarily complain about something just being a neutral. So anyway, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
I think you only love me cause I'm poppin'. This a layup, this a rebound, then it's robbing. Tyson with the fade, not the hair, my hands rocking. When I link with ball point, you know it's not.